Hey, welcome to BSB TV. Today, I'm honoured to have Phil Di Bella or Philip Di Bella. Do you prefer Phil or Philip?
It doesn't matter, Kevin. I've been called worse. So Phil or Philip, whatever rolls off the tongue, but all good with me.
Thank you. So basically, we've been having a chat for the last 15 minutes about a whole different array of businesses. So let's start at the beginning. You are a Brisbane icon when it comes to coffee. So where did that start, and how did that happen?
Well, the short version, son of migrants, parents love, the whole hospitality. Every second day of the week, somebody's over your place, relatives, coffee goes on the table, food. Mum's a great baker, hence why weight issues growing up, makes beautiful stuff. But that's where I was exposed to the whole hospitality, the whole coffee thing. But being a son of migrants, my dad worked on a Sunday, so I used to hang out with him on a Saturday, which was great. My brother and sister were a lot older. So the short of it was getting control of your destiny. I got to learn all these things. So a lot of my values and vision and everything was shaped from a young age, and all positively. Seeing your parents live off $450 a week, but still have a great upbringing, food, education, the whole lot. But obviously you give up a lot of things, like never going on holidays, no brand new cars, all this sort of stuff. My childhood really shaped the person I've become, and I can already start to see that what I'm doing with my kids as well.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you're a very hard worker. You started out with your coffee in, I think you mentioned earlier, at the Cosmopolitan Cafe, which is a bit of an institution, down there on Brunswick Street.
Correct.
So how did you go from working there to having your own brand?
Well, I was given an opportunity there I started because I expanded. It was a small place and it became a big place. So I was starting uni, so I started doing some dishing, washing dishes, and I still knew how to cook at the time, but they didn't have a job going. Then I did start to cook. Then I started to transition to the front and making coffees that fit in with my uni schedule. But what I did at uni was marketing. I did commerce and branched out into marketing, and I started to do uni assignments on Cosmopolitan Coffee about building a wholesale business for them. And we started to do that. I got offered the job full time, and I stayed there for 9 years, and we did quite well. But along the way, I used to keep a diary, and I used to keep a diary of all the things that I thought the business did wrong, how it didn't look after its people, didn't invest in educating its people, didn't invest in packaging. The coffee scene was exploding. It didn't want to get current, and that was okay. I wasn't the owner. So what I did was, rather than leave like most people do today, I sat there and I said, well, okay, if I go off and own my own business one day, what does it look like? So I used to keep a record of what I would do differently, and try and implement stuff. So in short, I learned what not to do in business. And I spent 9 years being able to collect the beauty of it, and I was able to, build skills while I was working and getting paid, which I've always talked highly about, even though it could be quite traumatic at the time working there. And but in 2002, I said, well, it's time to start my own business. And some great advice from my now wife, who said, don't sell your skill, back yourself. What's the worst case scenario? And it's something that I talk about to this day. So the catalyst was, and it still is for my risk management, what's the worst possible thing that can happen? And if you're comfortable with it, don't let anything hold you back. So in 2002, I started the company.
Yeah, I've seen so many people labor over really small decisions again and again and again, and wasting what seems like months. And yet they'll make big decisions without doing that risk analysis. So that risk analysis is really, really critical.
It is. Piece of paper and a pen. I mean, our brain has over 60, 70,000 conversations a day. It's simple. Just get a piece of paper and a pen, write the issue at the top, and it doesn't matter what it is, personal, professional, family, small, medium, big, it doesn't matter. Anything that you think is an issue that needs a decision, write it on the piece of paper, write all the possible scenarios, and it's part of scenario planning, which is massive now, right? And everyone should be, or should have, but if you haven't in the past, you definitely want to now and in the future. Scenario plan. Hey, this is the issue. What are the different scenarios? Which ones am I comfortable with? What am I not comfortable with? And the moment that you can say I'm comfortable with everything, don't let anything hold you back, no matter what that decision is. And it can be anything from, I've had people come back and say, I used that when I was deciding whether to sell a business, buy a business, leave a partner, say yes to get married, no to marriage, whatever the issue is. Kids, where do I send them to boarding school? Do I not? That model works for any issue that you have, because at the end of the day, it can't not work. If the moment you're comfortable with the worst possible thing, then move forward. If you're not comfortable with the worst possible thing, then explore it further, tread carefully, don't make the decision.
Absolutely. Now, you've got 3 steps that you have for business with that, and we were talking a bit about that. So what are your 3 phases that you're
Yeah,
talking
well, I
about?
see, and it's from experience from obviously owning several businesses and now going into business again. It all starts with a vision. You've got to have a vision. Vision is, what are you seeing? What are the problems you're going to solve? Where's that business going to be in 3 years? What's it going to be known for? It all means the same thing. Vision, goals, purpose, they're all similar meanings, right? Vision you have, goals then sit under the vision. The goals are the steps to achieve the vision. So then you go on, once you've got that vision, you've got to build the strategy, right? And I see a lot of people that are great visionaries and they're really, really good with strategy, but then they forget the third component, which is execution. So I say to people, you've got to be strong in all three areas, or you've got to bring people around you and into the business that are strong that in the areas that you're not. Vision, strategize, then execute. Get in the river. I see a lot of people build these visions, they build the parameters, they build the strategy, and then they just stand on the banks of the river and won't take the step. You've got to get in the river. You've got to get in the game or you're not in the game. You use whatever analogy you want. I talk about a river, but it can be anything. But you've got to take the step. You've got to execute.
So talking about your river, so when people are diving in the river's then got, going to be flowing. So what's your advice to them? Should they be swimming against the river, or should they just be using the river's energy?
Well, you'll know by the how good your vision is and how good your strategy is. If you find yourself swimming upstream, well, your strategy is pretty shit, or you need to change it. You need to adapt it. If you're finding you're flowing quite nicely, I talk about when things are going great, plan for the bad. Like I'm talking to a lot of real estate agents right now that are high-fiving, drinking Dom Perignon and are cashed up because they're doing, $1 million sales every day. Well, that ain't going to last, So right now, when everything's great, plan for the bad. When things are bad, plan for the good. Our Coffee Commune launches March 15, and we've been planning this through COVID. And people go, how can you possibly plan a business through COVID? Well, I know what's coming at the other end of COVID. People in the hospitality industry are going to need to be supported. They're going to need buying power. They're going to need resources. They're going to need help. They're going to need efficiencies. They're going to need to bridge the gap with governments. Everything that the Coffee Commune stands for. We built it through COVID so that as we produce, because we're not coming out of COVID. There's no pre-COVID times. The COVID is part of life and evolution. It's a correction virus to put everyone through a correction of where we need to go. Those that are going to succeed are those that have been planning through it. When times are good, plan for bad. When times are bad, plan for good. That's how you get ahead of the 8 ball, not behind the 8 ball.
Fantastic. The other thing that I mentioned, and that's awesome advice, and that's one of the things that I guess we've been trying to help people with right through COVID. We've been doing so many of these live shows to give people some information and something that they can work on. And that's helped our business at Brisbane Small Business. We've grown incredibly during that time, and it's really put us in a different position. The other thing I noticed about you is I read your book years ago, and it is an awesome book. But looking at you on the cover of the book and looking at you today, you're two different people. What happened?
Well, what happened was I didn't want to bloody succeed in business and have a beautiful family that I now get to spend all school holidays with and work school hours, and if I wasn't going to be around. And, I've got good people around me, including a doctor who said to me, hey, listen, it's time to, I'll give you the clean version. It's time to get yourself in shape because you're the healthiest overweight person I know. And, that's the clean version because I shared with you earlier what he actually said. But the short of it was, hey, just because you're healthy now doesn't mean you're going to be healthy tomorrow. And you keep talking about tomorrow better than today. So in short, he used my own philosophies, words and beliefs against me. And he said, you can do this in business. You've done it personally. You've done it from a family point. Well, now it's time to look at yourself personally. And at 40, I'm 45 now. So at 41, it was a bit of a jolt. And 42, I said, you know what? It's time. So I treat it no different. And I sat down and I said, what are the problems? What are the issues? And then I went, what's the vision? What's the strategy? And then how am I going to execute? And I surrounded myself with all the resources I needed to get to that healthy outcome to achieve that vision.
Absolutely, which is fantastic. And obviously, you've worked very hard at it. There's no shortcuts.
No, there isn't. No business. I mean, look at what you've done with with your channel here. You've got an amazing following, but it's not an overnight success, right? Anything that's an overnight success falls over very quickly. Just look at the share market. People get excited. I hear it all the time. Oh, I just made 500,000 yesterday. Well, did you sell the shares? No. Well, you didn't make shit because yesterday's 500,000. Today it could be whatever. It's not until you actualize that profit that you've done it. You've got to get in the river, son. Get in that river. I mean, the same thing. I used to sit down and bullshit to myself all the time. Oh, I'm healthy. I'm okay. It doesn't matter that I'm overweight. I'm healthy. I'm just bullshitting to myself, right? And I had to apply the same philosophy personally I did in business. Do I want to be better tomorrow than today? Do I want to be better today than I was yesterday? You know, and every day you're not going to get better, but you're going to get better by learning. You're going to get wiser, you're going to get smarter, you're going to hopefully learn what not to repeat, you know, and do the stuff well. But the bottom line is you've just got to stop and take action. And we see it all the time. You know, Facebook and social media's made a lot of instant 2-minute noodle successes. You know, my latest saying, as I told you before, everyone's an instant 2-minute noodle. You know, they register a business and all of a sudden they're an expert. And that's dangerous. It really is dangerous. So people that think they're an expert, and I say to people, it's okay to say, I don't know, because care about your brand. So in short, people need to start caring more about their personal brands. And I cared about my brand, so I had to do something about my weight.
Absolutely. No, I really appreciate that. So just like you've got your 3 phases to solving a problem or having a problem with your vision, your strategy and execution, with your life, you're looking at your personal, professional and family.
Correct. I say to people, you know, everyone says, I've got goals. Well, okay, tell me. And it's funny that all their goals revolve around work. Well, you know, people, and then I said, are you chasing balance? And they go, oh, of course I'm chasing balance. Well, it's not going to happen. And they go, what do you mean? Well, and I'm very pragmatic, right? I try not to be opinionated. You know, now I say to people, personal, professional, and family. Everyone's got 3 parts of their lives: personal life, a professional life, and a family life. At all ages, even kids. You know, their professional is school. You know, their family is their parents, their siblings. Personal is them. Set goals up in all 3 areas. You know, have 2 things a year you want to achieve in all 3 areas. You know, have more. It's up to you. But make sure that you spread achievements out into those 3 areas. And what you'll find is you'll start to work into this work-life harmony. You'll start to feel your life become harmonious. And this is talking from experience. When business was great, family was shit, and I was shit at times, right? When family was great, business was shit, I was shit. I mean, it just tops and changes. All 3 areas will need different priorities. So I prioritize them at different stages. Like right now, I'm starting a new business. We launch in a couple of weeks. It's priority 1. But as soon as we launch, family will become priority 1 again, where I won't be working school holidays. Business will be 2nd and I will be 3rd. You know, over the holidays, I put on 3 or 4 kilos. Come February, I became the priority. There was no alcohol, there was no sugar, there was no oils. You know, so I'm in this place now where I keep switching the priorities of where they need to be to have this harmony. But if I'm looking for balance, it's never going to happen. You don't get 8 hours to spend on yourself, 8 hours on your family, and 8 hours on your business. It just doesn't happen. It's more about how you prioritize. And if you have the ability to give the area of your life the priority it needs. And I use the example, if somebody's ill in your family with a terminal illness or is not well or kid is sick, then your focus is going to be completely different to somebody who's just started a business, to somebody who's you know, wants to lose weight, to somebody who wants to learn a new language. Everyone's going to have a different priority. And this comes back to not only understanding yourself and getting yourself right, but it helps you understand others and see the world through better eyes.
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely great advice. That's probably a good place to finish. You do have your coffee commune. You're helping a lot of cafes around, particularly Southeast Queensland. It's right throughout Australia, is it?
Well, the concept is, yeah, a lot of the stuff we can do. So all the learning programs and all the support can be done online. So, yeah, it can be. And obviously all the buying through the e-commerce site, once we launch the e-commerce on our website, you'll be able to buy from anywhere in Australia. So it is. Obviously, a lot of the physical stuff is here. In Queensland, we will replicate this in Sydney, Melbourne, no doubt under license, because I only want to own the one. I don't want to create another national company that I'm in control of. But we are already talking to people about licensing it interstate and internationally once we get everything right.
Fantastic. Look, real pleasure talking to you this morning. Thank you for giving your time and sharing your insights of how you've become who you are and how you've got to here with us today.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me, and congratulations on everything that you're doing to help people accelerate their potential. So,
no, I really appreciate